Y'all, a lot of imposter syndrome had to be healed so that I could do this, but I tell you what, if Andrew Tate can have a podcast, so can I. Firstly, before we start anything, my sister got me this, and I love it so much. Okay, bye. But why a podcast? Why a YouTube channel? Because I can't shut the fuck up. The older I've gotten, the more I accept that. So healing imposter syndrome of who am I to have a podcast? I'm that bitch, I guess. I don't know. We've been in therapy 4 years. Me, myself, and I, and my therapist has saved my life 100 times over and helped me find the confidence to put myself out there. And my whole life, I've wanted to make the world a better place. As my brother would say, be the change you want to see in the world. He wrote that in a note to me or a birthday card or something whenever I was very young, and it stuck with me. And that's something that I've always tried to live my life by, is to make the world a better place than I found it, I guess. So that's what this is about. Everyone's brain is different. And whenever I was a teenager, I had a boyfriend at the time that his mom had told me a very, I guess, dated now, but ideology that men's brains work this way and women's brains work this way. But take the gender out of it. Some people have a lot easier time thinking and being a human being. I'm not one of those people. But the metaphor that she gave us was men's brains work like waffles, where you go this thought, that thought, next thought. As Young Gravy would say, one thought, two thought, red thought, blue thought. I'm sorry. My brain is more like spaghetti. And that's what she told me, was women's brains are more like spaghetti. There's lots of thoughts all at once. It's all tangled up into a yarn ball. Yeah, my whole life, I've just been trying to unravel the spaghetti. Probably with chopsticks, which didn't help. When really I was just supposed to be eating the spaghetti and living my life. Really want to talk about mental health and techniques and self-help strategies that I found before therapy that helped me, because therapy is not accessible to pretty much anybody unless you have money. And I was very, very thankful to have therapy for multiple years on a grant where I didn't have to pay to go. I got lucky and the state helped me get help. And with what I've learned, I want to help other people. So if you would like some of that content, that's what we'll be doing here. Also, we'll probably be talking about like different journaling techniques, different art stuff that I like, trying different art on camera and just kind of having fun with it. I want to promote other small businesses and other content creators on here, be it, TikTok creators before they take TikTok away, or YouTube creators or other podcast people and things like that. Some of these videos are going to be a little bit more visual, and so on YouTube you're going to get a better experience than just like listening with headphones while you're working, if you can see it. But I'm hoping that over time it's more of like a seamless kind of, here's me, here's an infographic kind of thing. But my little sister says that I'm being too much of a perfectionist, so we're just going to go for it, and this is my first video. I hope you guys enjoy it. Today, I want to talk about trying new things, because it is the only thing that has helped me get out of my comfort zone and make my life better. And trying new things has a lot of scientific evidence backing how, it can boost your mood and it can help your creativity and things like that. But also building confidence in yourself and the world is so important. And if you're not willing to try new things, like starting a podcast or a YouTube channel, or doing your makeup differently, or trying a different style of glasses, like there are just certain things that you will never know about yourself or heal through until you try to do it. Things can help your cognitive flexibility by building different pathways in your brain. Your neuroplasticity is, I'm not a doctor, but it's allowing yourself to create new neural connections and pathways that can lead to new thoughts and new habits and new experiences and ways of experiencing the world through your own filter. And that is so important whenever you're trying to heal and grow and get through what, you were born with or put into as a child and moving up into adulthood, we have to try to change because not everyone has the best home life. And whenever you have this preset of hurt or trauma or, I grew up very poor. I don't want to be poor my whole life. So how can I do that differently? And how can I help other people do that differently and choose to do differently? Hopefully my podcast channel, whatever we're going to call it, is helpful in that you can see a little bit of yourself in me and my struggles, and maybe, listen to what I've been through and the things that have helped me and take what resonates, leave what doesn't, as TikTok says, and just try to help yourself. That's what this whole channel is about, is self-help and empowerment, empowering other people for healing, and overall just trying to make the world a better place. That's the community that I want to create on here, and the people that I want to reach is people like me. I genuinely do not care if this ever blows up, as they say, or, goes viral. I don't care about any of that. I have a job that I do and I really enjoy, and it took me forever to find a job like that I could stand and with, neurodiversity be able to handle long term. I think I've found that. So now that I have that, I feel like I have more time and energy to pour into my career, that I say in quotations, because who knows if this will ever turn into something. But what I do hope for is not, popularity or fame or something like that. I really don't want that, if I'm honest with you. I want to be able to go to Walmart at 8 p.m. in my slippers and still do my thing. But I want a community of like-minded individuals to be able to come onto my channel in the comment section and get to know each other and help each other out and us uplift each other. That's what this is about. So I hope that you'll join me on that journey. First real tip that I want to give you guys that actually changed my life so quickly is something that I learned in a podcast called Unfuck Your Brain by Carl Lowenthal. You can find it on Spotify. I don't know if it's on YouTube, but Spotify for sure. I've listened to well over 130 episodes at this point. Like, that was my first podcast I ever fell in love with. Carl Lowenthal does a bunch of stuff about thought work. It's basically the science of, I have a thought, let me stop and think about it for a second. Can I choose a healthier thought or a more neutral thought, a less distressing thought that could help me move through this emotion? It very much focuses on what my brain needed to learn how to do, and it saved my life in 2018, for real. With her clients, she typically tells them to start out with keeping a list of things that you thought you couldn't do, but then you did. And this is important because it teaches you how to see yourself as someone who can overcome things. See yourself as someone that can have an obstacle, figure out how to get over that obstacle, and then literally watch yourself do it. And it's been so fascinating because this list, as I get older, I'm 28 now, gets longer and longer. Some things that I would share with you guys is I never thought I would pass my driver's test. I never thought I would graduate high school, even though I was actually kind of smart. I got good grades and all of that. I just it would never end. That's how it felt because I was in such a dark place mentally. I didn't think I would ever get through it. I never thought that I would get accepted into colleges. I applied to 5. I got into all 5 major universities. I went for a little bit. I decided that college really wasn't for me at that time. And I thought I would go back later. The older I get, I'm like, yeah, that just wasn't for me. And I think that's okay. I also was, on a more dark note, I self-harmed for a very long time. And it was something that created a lot of tension in my family, because I would, have a habit of hiding it because I didn't want to bring attention to myself, and that's just how I was dealing with things at that time. I knew it wasn't good for me and I wanted to stop, but I couldn't because it was compulsive at that time. But I did stop, and I think it's been 7 or 8 years now, 2018, early 2018, 7 years since I stopped self-harming, and honestly, I don't miss it. It wasn't helpful. It didn't do anything for me. it was something that I learned on the internet to cope with my feelings, and it's something about the science of it is what helped me in that moment. But I know that that's not a proactive, healthy coping skill, so I wanted to get rid of it. And eventually I did, and that was before medication, that was before therapy. And I'm telling you, you can do hard things like that by yourself if you really believe that you can. I do, highly recommend therapy for every single human being on the planet, but like I said earlier, it's not easily accessible for everyone. And I got very lucky with the resources that I was given. Another thing that I worked very, very hard on for 28 whole years was to stop letting my inner critic rule my entire life, because I have OCD, I have ADHD, and those two things together are absolute torture. And I didn't know that's what was going on in my brain for the longest time, but OCD runs on both sides of my family. My mom, my dad, my grandparents, they all show these symptoms, and I was just not getting why I wasn't able to push past certain behaviors or thought patterns, or, able to push myself the way that I wanted to grow. And it was because I literally had a mental disorder that was keeping me stuck where I was, because whenever you have OCD, it just goes on repeat until you do the compulsion. And that's why I got stuck with self-harm for so long, and that's why I got stuck with all of these negative thoughts about myself for so long. But to move on to something lighter, I didn't think I could be a plant mom, and I am. I'm actually, look guys, look, they're doing so good. I love them. We'll go through a tour sometime, I guess, but if you're interested in that. But I love my little plants. They're doing all right, and I'm really proud of them. I never thought that I would fill up a whole journal. Never thought that I'd be able to give up my sugary drink addiction. I was raised on that Southern sweet tea, and let me tell you, is it addictive? And I got rid of that too. I didn't think I would be able to forgive certain people from my past, and I have. I used marijuana, THC, to get through any day, forever, for as long as I can remember now. And the last couple of weeks, I've actually been relatively sober, with this new med change, and I am so proud of myself for just being able to, that doesn't resonate anymore. I don't need to be numb. I would like to be present in my body, and I was able to just get rid of it because I was ready, And I feel like people say all the time, oh, weed's not addictive. Psychologically it is. I'm telling you, it's a coping skill that people use, just like people who abuse opioids use opioids to cope with what they're not coping with. And I was stuck in that cycle, but it was with THC, so no one really thought twice about it. But I'm telling you, it was affecting my medicine. That was for, my psych issues. It was affecting just so many different things in my life of, I'm broke, but all I can think about is I need more marijuana. That's not the life I want. Be it opioids or alcohol or weed or whatever, I have better plans for myself financially than what I came from, and most of my family are addicts, and I don't want to have that life. So even if it is just weed, maybe I don't need just weed anymore. Maybe I could be sober, and I was able to do that. And I do want to make a whole video about that, and like how I used it and why and what it did help with and the drawbacks and things I noticed. But right now, for the sake of this video, I gave up THC, and I am a lot better off without it. If you guys want to hear more about that, let me know, and I'll make that more of a priority in the coming videos. But I believe it's planned for quite a ways out right now. I also really, really struggled with getting back into spirituality after a situation with my mental health that happened. And we might talk more about that one day. My family knows. But it was very difficult for me to find hope in 2020 to 2024, the end of 2024, because my spirituality was so linked to a psychosis episode that I had, and it made it so difficult for me to see that there was a purpose and that I could change the world still, and I could be a good person and show up in my own way, because the spiritual trip that I had in that instance was so linked to how I saw the world. And it's very, very scary to go back into spirituality knowing that my brain took it and ran without my consent before. But getting back into spirituality has actually helped me feel a lot more centered and grounded and able to be in my body, as therapy calls it, and be able to see the world in a better light. And so I've really been dabbling back into that, and I might make a couple of videos about that in the future, but for now, I'll just leave it at this bullet list. I haven't yet, but I am going to set up an Instagram and a Facebook page for my friends and family and stuff that don't necessarily want to just be on YouTube to find my content. I'll be posting it there, clips, reels, stuff like that eventually. But for now, I'm just gonna kind of throw it out there and see what happens and not be a perfectionist about it, like my little sister is calling me out for. I don't know. There's a lot of that imposter syndrome coming up today with filming this, but we're getting through it. If you guys would like to follow, it would be DSNT_IG for Instagram. For Facebook, it would be DSNT_FB for Facebook. And I guess I'll see you guys there. Thank you so much for watching my first video. Obviously, it's a little choppy. It's you know, whatever it's gonna be by the end of the editing process, but thanks for being here, because this is what I want to do whether I make it or not, you know? Like, I want to help people. So if you are down for the kind of content that I'm describing right now, I'll be here. I'm gonna try to post at least once a month while I'm getting started with all of this, and then after that it'll probably be every 2 weeks, and then hopefully once a week once I'm really up to par and feel like I can handle the editing process, because this is a lot of work. But thank you so much, and I hope I'll see you on the next one. Bye.